I found true horror when I watched humans tear through armies. The galaxy is vast. I have seen empires rise, tyrants fall, and weapons that could slice moons apart with a thought. But nothing in all my centuries of service prepared me for the day I watched humans fight. We had always thought of them as oddities, primitive deathworlders that somehow survived on a planet of poison, storms, and beasts that would have wiped out any other sapient species. Some races pitied them. Others mocked them. A few admired their stubbornness. I feared none of those things. I had seen the Skrith consume entire systems. I had marched with the Telar shock troopers when they purged rebellions. I knew horror. Or so I thought. The Battle of Eka Prime. Eka Prime was supposed to be a decisive victory. The Varkoon swarm had gathered in numbers never before seen, millions of chitinous soldiers, war beasts, and biocannons covering the deserts like a living tide. Our coalition fleet, the proudest armada of 33 species, descended with confidence. The humans. They were there as auxiliaries. A single division. A gesture of goodwill from the newest member of the Accord. When I saw them march down the ramps of their crude, blocky transports, I smirked. Small numbers, crude gear, no towering exosuits or molecular cannons. Just rifles, armor plates, and a strange light in their eyes. Barely enough to make a dent, my adjutant hissed beside me. How wrong he was. The first clash. The Varkoon came as expected, a tide of claw and fury. We opened fire with our precision artillery. Plasma lances seared the air, drones dove in suicidal strikes, and my own command squad coordinated the lines. We were holding. Then the swarm adapted, as they always did. Their front ranks collapsed, shielding the wave behind. Their rear ranks launched spores that blanketed the sky. Our drones faltered. Our lines wavered. That was when the humans moved. No hesitation. No fear. Their commander, a woman with a scar carved down her jaw, gave a single order I didn't understand at the time. Push. And they did. Straight into the teeth of the swarm. Death made flesh. I have seen soldiers fight bravely. I have seen warriors stand their ground even as death closed in. But what the humans did was different. They advanced. Always forward. Their weapons spat fire, but even when claws tore through their armor, even when comrades fell screaming, they pressed on. I watched one human empty his rifle, draw a blade, and carve through chitin as though possessed. Another dropped grenades at his own feet, detonating with a roar that hurled bodies, his own included, into the air, buying his squad a few meters more. Meters mattered. Their advance was not clean. It was not elegant. It was not even sane. But it was relentless. For every 10 humans that fell, the line surged 20 paces forward. And the Varkoon apex predators of half the galaxy hesitated. The turning point. By the 3rd hour, our coalition lines were buckling. Species bred for war were retreating, breaking formation, screaming through comms for reinforcements. The humans never broke. I saw them fight in silence, not because they lacked communication, but because they did not need it. Their movements were instinctive, each soldier trusting the other with blind certainty. When the Varkoon hurled war beasts the size of dropships at them, the humans didn't retreat. They swarmed the beasts, clambering up their armored hides, stabbing eyes, ripping open throats, shoving explosives into mouths. The beasts fell. And I realized I was staring at predators more terrifying than the Varkoon. Horror in the flesh. It wasn't their technology. It wasn't their weapons. It was them. I watched a squad cut off from the main line. Surrounded. Their leader shouted something I barely heard over the comms. They can't eat what they can't catch, move. And instead of forming a shield wall, instead of fighting defensively like any sane species, they charged. Through the swarm. Claws tore them. Spines impaled them. Acid burned them. They still tore through. Not one survived, but they carved such a path of destruction that 3 neighboring squads pushed through the gap, collapsing an entire Varkoon flank. Sacrifice as strategy. Suicide as weapon. I could not comprehend it. That was when my adjutant whispered, trembling, "They're not fighting to live. They're fighting to win." The aftermath. By dusk, the sands of Eka Prime were black with Eka. Millions of Varkoon corpses carpeted the desert. Our own forces were shattered, reduced by nearly half. And the humans? Less than a third of their division survived. But they had done it. The swarm was broken. What was supposed to be our annihilation became victory. I staggered across the battlefield, numb. I passed human medics tending to their own with hands that barely shook. I passed soldiers laughing hoarsely, covered in gore, teeth bared in savage smiles. And I realized something that chilled me deeper than any horror I had ever faced. The Varkoon fought because they were hungry. The rest of us fought because we were ordered. But humans fought because they chose to. The true horror. That night, I sat in my command tent, reviewing the battle reports. The coalition generals praised the humans, yes. They called them brave, unyielding, valuable allies. I did not use those words. I used only one. Monsters. Because I had seen horror before. I had seen death, destruction, the cruelty of war. But nothing had ever made me feel so small as watching fragile, short-lived humans tear through an army that should have devoured them whole. And the most horrifying part was not their savagery, nor their madness. It was their smile when the battle was done. They looked at the carnage, at the sea of corpses, and I swear to the stars above. They looked ready to do it all again.